In the dead of night, a group of friends decided to play a game that would forever haunt their lives. This was no ordinary game. It was a pastime steeped in mystery and folklore, a conduit that promised to connect the living with the spectral world of the dead. The game was called Ouija, and its board, a window to the other side. The setting was a century-old house, nestled in the heart of a sleepy town. The walls echoed with tales of times gone by, and a palpable chill hung in the air. 5 friends, each one a blend of curiosity and fear, gathered around the ancient wooden table, their eyes fixated on the mysterious board before them. The characters of this tale were as diverse as they were intriguing. There was Sarah, the skeptic, who scoffed at the idea of spirits and specters; Jack, the thrill-seeker, always on the hunt for the next adrenaline rush; Emily, the believer, who'd always felt a strange connection with the unseen; Tom, the cautious one, who preferred to stay on the safe side of the supernatural. And then there was Alex, the instigator, who suggested they play the game in the first place. They sat huddled together, the flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on their anxious faces. The Ouija board lay before them, its alphabet spread out in a semicircle, the words yes, no, and goodbye ominously etched into its surface. A planchette, the triangular wooden piece used to spell out messages, rested in the center of the board. The air was thick with anticipation as they each placed their fingertips lightly on the planchette, their hearts pounding in their chests. The game was simple: ask a question and wait for the spirits to respond. But as they began to invoke the unknown, a sense of unease started to creep in. Little did they know, they were about to open a door to a world they wished they'd never discovered. The Ouija board, a tool of communication with the afterlife, lay ominously on the table. This wasn't just any ordinary game. The Ouija board, with its alphabet circling its face and the word goodbye etched at the bottom, was a window, a peephole into the spectral realm. Originating from the mid-19th century, during the rise of spiritualism, the Ouija board has been a source of fascination and fear. It was created as a means to communicate with the spirits, to ask them questions and seek answers. Yet, over time, it has become associated with a darker side, a gateway for malevolent spirits. And it was this very reputation that cast a shadow of dread over our characters. They stared at the board, a mix of skepticism and fear etched on their faces. They'd heard the stories, the countless tales of games gone wrong, of voices whispering from the shadows, of invisible hands moving objects, yet curiosity, as it often does, got the best of them. They were drawn to the thrill, the adrenaline rush, the chance to touch the unknown. Remember, the Ouija board is not just a game. It's a tool, a key that can open doors best left closed. Doors to a realm where our rules don't apply, where our understanding of the world falls short. Doors that once opened may not be so easy to close. As they gathered around the table, their laughter subsided, replaced by an unnerving silence. Skepticism gave way to anticipation. Fear morphed into a strange excitement. They placed their fingers on the planchette, the heart-shaped piece of wood that would serve as their guide, their link to the other side. Their hearts pounded in their chests, their breaths shallow and quick. As their fingers touched the planchette, a chill ran down their spines. The game had begun. The planchette started to move, guided by an unseen force. This was not a random drift, but a purposeful glide across the board, as if a spectral hand had taken control. The characters, huddled around the Ouija board, watched in silent astonishment. Their hands, barely touching the planchette, could feel a strange, pulsating energy beneath their fingertips. Their eyes darted from one another to the board and back again, each one searching the other's faces for signs of trickery. But all they found was shared disbelief and dawning fear. Their laughter, once loud and boisterous, had evaporated into the chill of the room. They were no longer playing a game. They were in the presence of something otherworldly. The messages started out cryptic, the planchette darting from letter to letter, spelling out words that made little sense. But as the night wore on, the messages became more coherent, more direct, and far more ominous. Each new word added to a growing sense of dread that twisted their stomachs and prickled the skin on the back of their necks. The room seemed to darken with each passing moment, the flickering candlelight casting long, monstrous shadows on the walls. An icy breeze seemed to seep from the board itself, making them shiver and pull their jackets tighter around themselves. It was as if the temperature itself was dropping in response to the escalating tension in the room. And then the planchette stopped. The room held its breath, Slowly, letter by letter, a name was spelled out. It was a name none of them recognized, an odd combination of consonants and vowels that seemed to hang in the air like a bad smell. They stared at each other, their faces pale and their eyes wide with terror. A name was spelled out, a name none of them recognized, but they would soon wish they had. The room was silent, save for the crackle of the candlewick and the thudding of their hearts against their rib cages. Something was very, very wrong. The game ended, but the real terror had only just begun. In the wake of the Ouija board session, an air of eeriness descended over their lives. The echoes of laughter that once filled the room were replaced by an unsettling silence, a silence that seemed to hold 1,000 whispered secrets. The once familiar surroundings turned alien, even hostile, as if they were trespassing in their own lives. They began to notice anomalies, oddities that were impossible to ignore. The once reliable hands of the clock would often dance in erratic rhythms, as if time itself had been distorted. Lights flickered without reason, casting an otherworldly glow. Doors slammed shut of their own accord, and the chill of the wind seemed to carry strange, indiscernible whispers. The air was heavy, as if charged with an unseen, malevolent force. Fear began to gnaw at the edges of their minds, infecting their every thought. Sleep became a luxury they could scarcely afford, for the night held horrors beyond their wildest imaginings. Their dreams were haunted by shadowy figures and echoing voices, leaving them to wake in cold sweat, their hearts pounding in their chests. Desperation seeped into their lives as they tried in vain to rid themselves of the entity they had unwittingly invited into their world. They sought help, reaching out to mediums, psychics, anyone who might have a semblance of an answer. But it seemed that they had opened a door that couldn't be easily shut. They were trapped in a reality they had never bargained for. All sense of normalcy was lost to them. Their lives, once filled with mundane routines and typical concerns, had become a stage for the inexplicable and the terrifying. They found themselves constantly looking over their shoulders, jumping at the slightest noise, their hearts hammering in their chests at the mere hint of the supernatural. Their lives had become a living nightmare, all because of a game. They thought it was just a game, but they were horribly wrong. These words echo in the minds of those who dared to dance with the unseen. The terror they experienced was not just a fleeting moment of fear, but a haunting nightmare that will linger in their lives, a constant reminder of the night they dared to defy the boundaries of the known and the unknown. What began as an innocent attempt to communicate with spirits turned into a horrifying encounter with entities beyond their comprehension. The Ouija board, a seemingly harmless tool, became the conduit for forces too powerful, too ancient, and too dangerous to meddle with. They thought they could control the board, control the spirits, but they were merely puppets in a play orchestrated by unseen hands. This terrifying experience has left an indelible mark on their lives, a scar that serves as a reminder of the dangers of dabbling with the unknown. It was a lesson learned in the most horrifying way, a lesson that underscores the importance of respecting the unseen and the unexplained. We often forget that the world we live in is just a small part of a much larger, much more complex universe. There are realms that exist beyond our understanding, beyond our control. The spirit world is not a playground for the curious, it's a realm that demands respect and caution. The characters in this story learned this the hard way. Their curiosity led them down a path they were not prepared for, a path filled with fear and regret. They thought they were just playing a game, but they ended up opening a door to a world they were not equipped to handle. The experience has served as a chilling reminder of the power and mystery of the spirit world. It has taught them, and hopefully, those who hear their tale, about the dangers of meddling with forces beyond our understanding. They learned the hard way that some doors are better left unopened. Remember, curiosity can lead to horrifying consequences. The spirit world is not to be trifled with. It is a realm that should be approached with respect, caution, and a deep understanding of its power and mystery.